Get ready. Shu Talk is in session. Meet your hosts, Ashley Mims, Monica Zakara, also with Roberta Rojas, Anushka Robinson, Eddie Rivera, and Angelica Trejo. Live from Sacred Heart University, it's Shu Talk.
Hello and welcome, everyone.
Welcome to Sacred Heart University's brand new entertainment news talk show, where we talk about all things entertainment, sports, latest fashion trends, and the hottest topics on the news. I'm Ashley Mims, and thank you for joining us. Ladies.
I'm Monica Zakara. Thank you for joining us.
And I'm Anushka Robinson. Welcome to Shu Talk.
Just when we thought 2020 could get any worse, we took yet another loss. This time, Chadwick Boseman, who passed away at the age of 43 from a 4-year fight with colon cancer. What shocked people most was the strength, grace, and dedication he showed, all while filming between chemotherapy and surgeries. His passing came just weeks before they were set to begin shooting the sequel to Black Panther. So do you guys think that they should replace his character or just continue with the original story where his sister Shuri takes over?
I think that they should continue with the story. Personally, I think that it's important to see that Black Panther's powers really came from his people and his powers and the women that stood by him in the movie, and that's what made him a good king. And I think that the story should continue and honor his legacy and, you know, the people of Wakanda. And I think that when you add his sister into the mix, she should tell the story from her perspective as a powerful female figure. And, you know, maybe they should put a little plot twist in it and just, you know, put a little villain in there and add a little bit of drama with her.
Yeah, definitely. We need the drama. But besides from that, I think Black Panther in itself had such a great impact on the Black community for what it did at the box office, just what it did for me watching it as a female, like a Black woman. I think his sister continuing the story would be just like the ideal storyline or plot to continue and to keep up with his tradition and essentially him passing the baton. And one thing I took away from Black Panther is the women. They had such strength and resilience, and they were strong because they were just strong and they were just great women. So I can only imagine what that will do for the Black community if a woman should per se go into the role of Black Panther.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to think about it. Even all the little boys, you know, that had that Black superhero to finally look up to. You know, you got little Cayenne in Florissant, Missouri. You know, he hosted his own little memorial with all his action figures right in front of his home. And, you know, that just shows how much of an influential character he played, yet how many lives he's touched.
Definitely. And I think going back to what you said, my little cousin, just overhearing the conversations with little kids and the conversations that they're having, I just feel like his character transcends all gender, all ages, and just everybody. No matter how like old or young you are, you're able to have a conversation about him because his impact was just so great, and he'll truly be missed.
Absolutely, and you got to think about all the influential roles that he has played. Thurgood Marshall, Jackie Robinson. So I guess we just have to wait to see.
Yeah.
The 72nd Emmy Awards was this past weekend, hosted by Jimmy Kimmel. This was the first award show without an audience present due to the craziness of Miss COVID-19. All the stars were watching the show from home, just like us. So, I want to start off by saying the Emmy Awards did a really good job by incorporating the essential workers by nominating, by actually presenting the nominations. I think that it was absolutely wonderful that they did that, you know, since we had such a crazy year, you know, just to show and recognize these people, the teachers, the UPS workers, the nurses, the doctors, you know, everybody there on the front lines that, you know, helped make us a stronger nation. I think that was great that they did that.
Yeah. And I love how they kind of took the celebrity aspect out of it and just essentially highlighted real people, everyday people within society, and show truly what makes the world go around. Like, literally, I loved it. I love watching it. I enjoyed it. I think it's probably one of my favorite Emmys. besides the inclusivity, the diversification of like all the nominees and people there. I love the political statements that they were able to have on like their shirts and stuff. I love how it went from low to high fashion to Jennifer Aniston in her bathrobe. I love that, and Tyler Perry's speech. That was one of my highlights from that show.
I think his speech kind of like put it all together, you know? Like he went
Definitely.
from explaining like how each one of us are just, you know, pretty much we're all the patches that put together this quilt. And by saying the quilt, he meaning like America, like life, this world that we live in. You know, we all come from different struggles, different lives, different colors, different everything. And I think that that was beautiful, honestly.
Definitely.
I think he definitely deserved that award. And another star that deserved an award was young Miss Zendaya. You know, she was the first in Emmy history to win an award at the age of 24. And that is such a great accomplishment for such a young woman of her age. And I think she deserved it. She did an awesome job in Euphoria. And I, you know, congratulate her, and she's going to do well in the future.
Definitely. Now, from the Emmys to E, Keeping Up with the Kardashians is coming to an end. After 14 years, 20 seasons, and several spin-off series, the family released joint statements on Instagram that the popular reality show was ending, professing their gratitude to all their fans and sponsors throughout the years. Come 2021 will be the show's last season, and I'm sure they will end with a bang, and their names will continue to ring bells. Now, for the Kardashian, my question is, do you think they'll still be able to keep the same presence in pop culture when their show come to an end? And did the businesses they set forth and are currently doing, will that have also a lasting impression on pop culture?
I think that, you know, they have made a name for themselves, yes. And I think social media plays a major role. So I don't see, just by the show going off, because I honestly have not watched, you know, the most recent seasons, but I have not had any trouble keeping up with the Kardashians via Instagram and via everybody else's news outlet that they have out there, right? And so I don't think that they have an issue of, you know, keeping a name for themselves and branding their businesses and everything else, because most of it is done on social media. And I think they've done a great job at doing so. So I don't see them going anywhere, at least no time soon.
I agree with that. I don't think they're dropping off the face of the earth anytime soon. The Kardashians are big money, big names. We know them. We love to hate them. It's just one of those things. They like you said, they have social media. They got the TV background. They got makeup and fashion, and you know, they're married to famous artists and whatnot. Like, we're not seeing them go away anytime soon. They're definitely going to be in the spotlight for a little bit longer.
And you're talking about brands, you know,
Yeah.
you got to think about it. You know, I think everyone has started their own business and their own brand itself. And I think that they're doing well.
Yeah.
Like Kylie, the first billionaire in the family, youngest billionaire on Forbes. Tell me about it, or, you know, like, I just don't see the spotlight coming off of them anytime soon.
Yeah, well, you haven't watched the Kardashians, but I'm a huge reality show junkie, so I've been watching and I've been keeping up, and I just know they were able to kind of control the narrative with their show. So whatever bad press that they were getting, they were able to show behind the scenes and give us like insights and stuff. And I think at the time when they were doing reality show, that was kind of like the social media, because everybody was getting into reality TV, and they were able to kind of just use that platform. And now we're seeing that they're also using social media as a platform to kind of put their names out there, keep their names in people's mouth, and from like dinner table talks to just like even us being here like on the news. Just so I'm just hoping going forward they'll be able to kind of be more culturally aware, and are able to kind of stay in pop culture, because we love them, love to hate them. So
Coming up, our correspondent Eddie Rivera sits down with the new director of multicultural affairs at Sacred Heart. That's right after the break.
Say her name. Hands up. Don't shoot. I can't breathe. no justice, no peace, and yet they still leave us dead in the street. How many more? When will this stop? The civil unrest in 2020 has turned a rough year into complete turmoil. The one positive we can take is the solidarity and progression that has come out of it. Many organizations are truly starting to see that Black lives do matter. On a predominantly white campus, a huge step was taken to better celebrate and support marginalized students. Sacred Heart University recently opened up a multicultural center on campus, and in studio today, we welcome its first director, Sacred Heart graduate and member of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated, Robert Johnson, ladies and gentlemen. Rob, first and foremost, thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate, you reaching out and asking me to do this interview. I think it's important that people get a chance to, I guess, have questions answered maybe, or, kind of get to know me, because, this role isn't just about building up the center. It's about, me sharing a piece of who I am with the Sacred Heart community and those, on the outside looking in. So
without a doubt. Now, Rob, I have to ask, over the course of summer, there was a lot of conversation about cultural changes that students wanted on campus.
Yep.
And how the university would acknowledge those wishes. What made Sacred Heart choose the Multicultural Center as that answer?
I think it was pretty apparent that, we needed, and we still do need, education on cultural competency. There are certain areas, well, not certain areas, just generally, there are a lot of underrepresented students that just don't feel comfortable here, right?
Absolutely.
And being an alum, I know that feeling. I know that experience and that reality firsthand. And I'm just excited that I can be the person to walk students through that experience and that process and kind of mentor them and show them how I processed my experience here, right, in hopes that they can take that and apply it to themselves. It's very important to create an environment of inclusivity, and not just be focused on the general population's happiness, right? While other students still feel, underrepresented and unnoticed.
Right.
So,
now, going off your point about being inclusive and being comfortable, Sacred Heart is a place where a lot of students don't look like you and I, and at times that can be a hindrance on one's college experience. What would you say to a student that feels uncomfortable about being a person of color on campus?
Find your people. So, if anybody knows my background, I worked in admissions for 3 years before, taking the role of working in the multicultural affairs or, department or starting the center. And I would always get students or parents who, of color, come up to me and ask me and be like, hey, they would ask the question, how is it here for us? Right. And I knew what they meant. Of course, they didn't have to speak.
It's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, and I knew exactly what they meant. And I would be extremely transparent with them. I told them that even though we were on a predominantly white, institution or campus or whatever the case is, that it kind of forced myself and, specifically, my line brothers to be motivated to create something that was representative of us and our culture, right? That's why we established Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated.
The latest and the greatest.
Yeah, on our campus to give, to have representation, because, a lot of the organizations don't really highlight who we are, where we come from, or our background. So we wanted to kind of give a piece of ourselves, or at least find a piece of ourselves, and leave a legacy here that was bigger than us just being athletes or, just being athletes, because that was our label at the time, right? We wanted a little bit more out of our college experience, and most times we had to leave this campus to go do that.
Absolutely.
So, it took a lot for us to get here, get established on campus. Rest in peace, Evan Pittman, as you know, my line brother. He brought Iota to myself and, the rest of my line brothers. And, we shook up campus. You can ask anybody that was here between 2014 and now.
Absolutely.
It definitely changed the culture on campus.
Going off of that, we've seen many clubs come on campus, cultural, diverse clubs, and unfortunately, a lot of them have gone by the wayside. I'm still waiting to see some IOTAs back on campus, but well, that's a conversation for another day. We'll get
talk.
to that.
We'll talk after this.
What are some ways that a student could get involved in a multicultural center? And what are some clubs and events you would want to bring to Shu?
Yes. So I already have a lot of different initiatives that I'm personally working on. Not to mention the support, because I want to be very clear. There are people on this campus that are supportive of diversity and inclusion. They just don't know how to go about it, right? So, and I'm happy to be that bridge. But yes, so the already established programs, support them, help them out, go to their events, spread the word about what they're doing on campus. So, for instance, we have the GSA, or the Gender Sexuality Alliance Club. We have the Multicultural Council. We have the Black Student Union. We have La Hispanidad. All these different multicultural groups that are already established that need that attention and that help from the student body. So, if you're listening, if you're paying attention, help those organizations out. Go to their events. Ask them how you can be a support to them and an ally to them, because it's very important. It's already, I guess, slim pickings for these groups just because of the percentage of our students of color,
of course,
are obviously lower, right? So even if you aren't a student of color, you can still be a part of these organizations. I'm not Spanish, and I definitely hung out with people in La Hispanidad and were a part of their initiatives as an undergraduate and a graduate. So I urge the student body, as well as faculty, staff, anybody that's listening, to get involved in these clubs and organizations, go to their events, follow their social media pages, and pretty much ask them, what can you do to support? Because that support is certainly needed. So, yeah.
Without a doubt. It seems like the Multicultural Center is off to a great start and has a lot of promise. What's most important is that we keep it on campus, and it has a huge effect on everyone. With that being said, what's your hope for the Sacred Heart community about the Multicultural Center?
Okay, so I'm going to sound like a broken record to myself right now. And the answer to that question is realizing that we have more in common than differences, but knowing that those differences that we do have are valid, right? Like, my concern as an African-American male in this country is extremely valid, right?
Right.
A woman's concern on this campus, just being a female. So for instance, I always give this story about a coworker of mine who, she was like concerned about walking in the parking garage. And I was like, well, like, why would you be concerned about that? Right. Me and my male privilege, I don't conceptualize. Think about. I don't consider myself to be prey or you know what I mean? Someone that, other people are preying on to, potentially attack, but a woman would, feel that way. So, really getting people to acknowledge these differences that we do have, and not just dismissing them, and becoming educated on these differences that each demographic or background has. So,
right. Rob, you've taken a huge step in creating positive change on campus. Thank you for doing this interview. Thank you for taking on that role. Keep doing what you're doing. You have Sacred Heart's full support, so keep being great, brother. I'll tell you.
Olé.
Over to our sports correspondent, Roberto Rojas.
Hey guys, what's up? Let's lead off with the NBA. I'm Roberto Rojas, and welcome to Sports Check. Things are starting to heat off in the playoffs as we had 4 teams battling out in the bubble in Orlando, Florida, with the Los Angeles Lakers defeating the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals and the Miami Heat defeating the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals to set up a mouth-watering NBA Finals. More importantly, however, the return of basketball has also seen many players and coaches display their support towards the Black Lives Matter movement, staying in solidarity against the discrimination of black people and against incidents of police brutality and all racially motivated violence against black people, from a form of non-violent civil disobedience in protest. Since the return of the NBA in Orlando, Black Lives Matter was painted on the court, and players' jerseys carried messages of protest in either English or in the languages from players of different countries around the world. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, numerous NBA teams were in a bubble at the ESPN Wide World of Sports complex over the last few months, meaning that no fans were in attendance in person, but that didn't stop them from appearing virtually. A similar thing is also occurring with the start of the NFL season, as numerous teams are either opening their doors to fans at a decreased capacity or shutting it down completely, depending on which part of the country you're in. But the message also remains the same, with messages to end racism being screened across stadiums all over the United States, and with continued support for the Black Lives Matter movement, something that has entered into the sports mainstream and has reached the attention into millions of Americans. This has been Sports Check with myself, Roberto Rojas. Back to you, ladies.
Earlier in August, President Trump signed an executive order to ban the popular mobile application TikTok, which is owned by Chinese tech giant ByteDance. The banning process was set to begin on September 20th at midnight, but it was averted that afternoon after TikTok reached an agreement deal with American companies Walmart and Oracle. The two companies have joined together to form a new entity called TikTok Global, which will be the headquarters in the US. What do you guys think about this decision, and are you guys concerned about your information being breached?
Absolutely. I think you're concerned about your information being breached here in the U.S. So can you imagine what it can be, how it can be breached in another country?
Mm-hmm.
You got to think about it. Since COVID, the U.S. FBI, they've reported that there is an increase of 300%, okay, in cybercrime. That's a lot. So I am very, very worried about any of my data or information getting into the wrong hands.
Yeah. I'm super concerned because I know my information here is being breached and being sold for profit in America, and maybe I'm more less reluctant, I'll say, what an American headquartered company can do with my data. Now with China and however kind of like their culture and how it's over by China, and I see China being soon the leading country. I mean, China, coronavirus started in China and it kind of shut down the whole world. Mm-hmm. So I can only imagine what my data being over there is like. What are like the transgressions and the stuff that can happen because of that. And another thing I wanted to add is because like America, we sell the dream of the land of opportunity. We are so inclusive of others. So I think that with TikTok, America should find a way to kind of accommodate the app, in my perspective.
So I definitely agree with you, ladies. I definitely think that, China is we're a little sketched out by them right now. Like, I mean, just because they're moving here in the U.S., it really doesn't mean that, the U.S. isn't going to share our data like they've already been with social media and streaming sites. I mean, are we really safe? Can we really trust the United States here? I mean, I don't know. Like, they have already tracked our algorithms and what we're interested in, how we're clicking on stuff. They already know the process that we're thinking. So really, it comes down to, like, are they going to use our data maliciously against us? And are we can't escape it. So, I mean, I guess it might be better off that we stay in the U.S. rather than, branching out and going into different countries.
Yeah, because you just said you think that they should accommodate it.
Yeah.
You think they should accommodate it, or you think they need to ban it in general like some of these other countries are doing?
I just think American culture. I just think they kind of sold us this. It's just being it. America is a marketing tool. Like, it's the marketing capital of the world. So it's the land of the free. It's the land of everything. I just feel like because of the branding and what America stands for, I feel like the best decision is to kind of work around that, find the kind of the middle ground. But I'm scared of whatever the middle ground is. But imagine living in America and you don't have access to something as an American. Where does your brain go? I don't have access to this because I live in America. I mean, if you go to like Dubai, only thing you can do is like WhatsApp, text. You can't even call. So imagine not having access to that living in America. I'm not sure like how you guys feel about that. As bad as our data is like being breached.
I definitely think that the younger generation is going to have an issue with the banning for sure. But I think it's safe to say if we make it just seal it off to the United States, it'll definitely be a little bit more comfortable for us than, President Trump not trusting China and all that. And yeah, so.
Coming up, we take a look at the 2020 election season. Stay with us.
The presidential election is just a couple of weeks away, and it will be unlike any other election that we've ever seen. With the nation still fighting the coronavirus, a lot of us will be voting by mail due to safety measures. Either by mail or in person, what matters is that we vote. So how important is it to you, ladies, that we vote, and what are some of the things that the voters need to know about this election coming up?
Well, I honestly think that whether you vote in person or at the polls, get out there and vote. Obviously, this election is very important to us all, I think this is the only election that I've really, really, really done so much research, and, I'm trying to put my vote in where it matters the most, and I think that this is very important for all of us to go out here and actually do our research to learn about these candidates and to figure out how we're going to set ourselves up for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you. This is probably the most recent election I have actually been involved in by researching and watching the debates and following up on social media with different shows, all these interviews. I can't say that I've been invested in other elections in the past. So I definitely agree with you there. I think it's really important that we take a look, like even just at our table here. We are sitting here, 3 women, and we have, if you look back in history, it took us so long to get this right to vote as women. And 2 of you are African American women that your people have also really struggled to, make their voices be heard. So I think it's so important that, all of us here vote, and, everyone at home as well.
Yeah.
I
know there's a narcissist in the White House. He's supposed to be quarantined, but instead he chose to have a parade for his supporters. I'm not sure what that did for him, but it probably stroked it. I know it stroked his ego. This election, I think, is really important because, one, we have to get Trump out, and I don't see any other politician or any other party that's willing to kind of listen to us and kind of serve, because he's not serving. He's just there. I saw that he proposed a plan for the African American community. I'm not sure if I trust that, because he was supposed to build a wall, and I don't know what's happening with that. I thought Mexico was supposed to pay for it, but Trump just really needs to leave.
I mean, definitely stay informed on the candidates for sure. I think the young people definitely need to do their research, talk to their friends, their acquaintances, their colleagues, anybody, just to get a little bit of information and see, what other people think. Because if you're going to unfollow and unfriend everybody, I just think that you need to kind of change your train of thought there and just kind of be open to hear what everybody has to say, because you never know, you might learn something, you might, kind of skew a little bit to another side. You never know.
But how many sides are there really? Like, I just feel like in other elections, like with Democrats and Republicans, there's always gray area for both. But here, to me, this election is kind of just like really cut and clear. It's either you're doing good or you're just not. I just don't see any other side more than the right side here. I don't see like any opposing thing, and I'm just like I'm trying to keep level-headed. I'm trying to be open,
and that's what she's kind of trying to tell you. Like, I mean, certain people, obviously, everyone has their opinion on who they want to vote for. So, and that's completely everyone's own opinion. That's what you want to do. But at the end of the day, whether you vote for left or right, black or white, blue or what is it, red, and whatever you do, it does, donkey, whatever you want to call it, At the end of the day, just get out there and vote, let your voices be heard, go out there and stand for something.
Definitely agree, especially with all these young Generation Z people. This year is the year of change, and I feel like Generation Z can definitely change this election for good or for bad. It could really go both ways, because if we're looking at it, there's 24 million Gen Zers are old enough to vote this year. That's 1 in 10 voters. I think that's so important. If they actually do go out and vote, half of those Gen Zers are actually non-white. So they actually think that they can, make a change, have their voices be heard. This is the biggest group of non-white American citizens that we've seen. Like, the baby boomers cannot compare, the millennials cannot compare, and neither can Generation X. So if they actually go and vote, they could make a change. But if I can agree with you, nobody really likes either candidate.
Seriously?
They really,
No.
a lot of them are telling
No.
each other, I don't really care. I'm tired of this election and it hasn't even happened. So it might actually hinder the results, and they might actually just stay home and just say, screw it, I'm not even going to go.
Even that's
The first debate.
The
Like,
debate.
what
Yeah.
was it? What was it? How could
Yeah.
you decide between two candidates when both of them were up there, and it was just almost
Acting like
you
children.
couldn't hear anything that Joe Biden was saying.
No.
Yeah, because Trump, and then it's just like
You heard
he's
everything
just
Trump
a
was
bully
saying.
on the stage, but it's just
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm here to finally really get some information, sell yourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sell us these policies that you are talking about putting in place, that you will put in place. And I'm tired of hearing about the billion and billions of dollars and the billions of trees and the billions of this and the billions of that.
I keep hearing about billions.
Where is
I
all
don't-
this work at now that you're in office and
Oh
you're
my
stuck here
God.
now?
He don't pay no taxes. Like 700. I paid more taxes than him as a GA. Do you know what graduate assistant pay is? Like, do you know how horrible?
Well, I'm a waitress part-time, girl, I know.
You make more money. Like, grad assistant really do all the work, and the reward is our degree at the end of the program. But like, he's just a very special person. And I guess we'll leave it at that. But because there is speculation that the amount of young voters could be at historical levels, or correspondent Angelica Trejo and producer Priscilla Serrano went around to talk to some of these young voters.
Thank you, ladies. The presidential election is right around the corner, and I got to speak with some of the Sacred Heart University students to see what they're most concerned about. Let's take a look. Do you believe voting is important, and why?
Yeah, I think voting is very important for getting everybody's voices heard, and more people should vote. I believe last election was only like 60% of the population, so I think if you have that much of a population not being heard, it's not as indicative as what people believe.
I believe voting is very important because everyone has a say and you should use it.
I think it's extremely important. I think people have fought for the constitutional right to vote for a really long time. And I think due to all the struggles that people have had to overcome, I think it's really important that people exercise their vote to write and just be involved in the government.
Voting is important because that's when Americans unite and that we elect people in the government and we choose who we want to have as our leaders. It's very important and everyone should vote.
What change do you hope for the new administration to bring?
I hope the new administration puts in guidelines where things can go back to normal, but in a safe way to make sure that nothing is going irresponsible or we don't have any outbreaks like in part of the western parts of the country. And things obviously like climate, things like healthcare, how that's going to be affected, and things like drug prices, especially with my family.
I hope the new administration really I know there's been a lot of civil unrest regarding racial identity and social injustice lately, and so I hope the new administration gets a move on that. That's the most important factor for me, personally.
I hope the future administration to lead us, to unite us, because right now we're divided. We're not in a very good, stable position. I think we need a good leader right now to unite us with this, especially with this virus, and to solve many problems that's going on and focus on extreme issues such as climate change and many others I can't think of on top of my head, but there's many issues that needs to be resolved.
What issues do you think that the new president should focus on?
I think the main problems that they should focus on, the new president, is a lot of the healthcare issues that are evident. I think that there's a lot of inequity in that, and then obviously that relates to the COVID issues, and I think race is a big problem that they need to focus on and amend.
Social injustice, climate change, our relationships with other nations, I think those things are vital.
I think COVID-19 is obviously a big one. You know, hopefully we can encourage people to follow guidelines more and get past this, and like I mentioned, social issues, and hopefully bringing change in that topic.
Well, there you have it. Voting is important, and if you haven't registered yet, there's still time. We could all make a difference on November 3rd. This is Angelica Trejo reporting from Sacred Heart University. Back to you, ladies.
If you would like more information on how and where you can vote, please visit the links on the screen.
Ever wonder where you can get the sickest donuts in Connecticut? I had the chance to go to Deviant Donuts and try some for myself, and I was not disappointed. It's our site of the week. Take a look.
From up in there, and it goes all the way.
People are lining up for the next big thing, or should I say, sweet thing. This little hidden gem is known for its fancy, fun-themed donuts, and I've got a box of my own, and I'm not sharing. Located in Old Mystic Village, this little donut shop is getting a lot of buzz. Each week, a theme is picked and the baking begins. Deviant Donuts started at Vault Roasters, a coffee shop which was only a building down. Popularity gained quickly and the bakers moved shop. Everything's made by hand, from the filling to the glaze and the garnish.
Some of the themes we've created have been like Harry Potter, we've done Star Wars, we've done Disney Princess Week, we've done Villain Week, we've done superheroes, we've done dinosaurs. We have a bunch of fun stuff planned too. We're trying to do like the Tropical Island Jimmy Buffett themed fee. Our most interesting donut, I would say, would probably have to be our cranberry orange jalapeno donut, and it has a honey glaze on it. It's a cake donut, so it's more like a traditional cake rather than brioche, which is what normal donuts are. Yeah, it's really good if you like the spicy mixed with like the kind of sweet.
And what goes well with donuts? Coffee, of course. Their extensive menu has something for every coffee addict. And don't forget to stop across the shop at their sister company, Mango's Pizza, for some handcrafted pizzas and local beers. Deviant Donuts is open 7 days a week from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Donuts are available for pre-order online.
Thank you so much for tuning into Shu Talk. We want to give a special thank you to our guest, Robert Johnson, from the Multicultural Center. We'd also like to thank all the people that made this show possible. We'll see you right back here next time on what?
Shu Talk!